Hey, Spartans, welcome to Spartan Up podcast. You'll notice we are virtual this week. Why? You know why. We're at home just like you are, but we're going to keep the world moving forward. You know what? For 5 years, we've been talking about resiliency, creativity under pressure, when and if to ever give up, and how to pivot. And after 5 years, we've got some great ideas about how to do that. So we're pivoting today. We are bringing this to you virtually. I want to make sure I've got this right. We've got our producer, Marion, up there. We've got retired Colonel Tim Nye up there. We've got Sefra, the Seed Huntress, over there. And as always, I'm Johnny Waite. And what we're doing today is we're interviewing some of the Spartan team because we want to bring you behind the scenes and just tap into the Spartan mindset and what's keeping this company resilient, alive, and ready to serve our community as soon as we can get back to action.
That's right, Johnny. This is a two-part show, something a little bit different. We've got Joe Sena, our CEO and founder. He goes and he interviews Carola Jain, the Chief Marketing Officer for Spartan.
That's right, Tim. I feel like I should do the Brady Bunch, like look to the side. Okay. And our second part of this interview is with you and Spartan's head of merchandise, who is Mike Lunardeli. Love his last name. Just a side note from all of us here, we all realize that business issues and these types of conversations, often pale in comparison to anyone who has sick loved ones or all those who are working out on the front lines. And for all of us here, obviously, those are the true Spartans, and we show them all of our respect. We just want, during this sacred pause here where we all get to be at home and all together, to continue these conversations and let you guys know what Spartan's doing to forge forward and shift in this new paradigm.
So listen, we're really serious about this. We'd like to hear from you guys out there, from our Spartan community. What is it? What are the challenges you're facing? We kind of all got some communal challenges, but let us know what you're facing, and let us know what you think we should cover here, what we should be talking about, and possibly how we can help you. And then Johnny, how can they get in touch with us?
Well, Tim, really, wherever they're consuming this podcast, if you're watching it on YouTube, which I'd encourage you to do, you can comment in the comment section and we'll see that. Or if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, things like that, just reach out to us directly through our socials, through Twitter, through Instagram, and we'll engage with you. We'll be able to have a conversation about what we can do to bring you the best values. In the meantime, we encourage you definitely stick around for these great interviews because we're going to be back at the end to share what we got from it and to do a wrap up.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wine for Runners, the makers of the new official Spartan brand wine. Visit wineforrunners.com/Spartan. That's wine, 4, runners.com/Spartan.
I guess we're good. We're live. I am with our CMO, Carola Jain, who I've known for 20 plus years, who I can't believe still talks to me. Carola Jain, our CMO. Hey, listen, I just wanted to go review that moment when I was in Greece, approximately 3 or 4 weeks after you told me this disaster was coming, but I didn't listen. And it became very real for me when Donald Trump shut the borders down from Europe to the US. At that moment, I realized, oh my God, our revenue is going to go from, $400,000 or $500,000 a day to zero overnight. We're going to have to furlough 75% of the workforce, right? We're going to have to shut down 325 events across 45 countries. Fucking disaster. I know where I was. I know how I felt. I don't know. How did you feel like when that hit?
How do I feel? Well, I feel like I've been, worrying about it a little bit longer. And I think when it really hit home was probably when we had to furlough our staff. And I think that was definitely a very sad day. And just remember having to tell, our teams and going through this and why. And, there wasn't much of reasoning of why. It's more, the business is down and we really need to adjust. And then I think the hardest moment out of that is when you are in such a down situation where, everybody is sad. And, the people, I think Spartans have a lot of compassion in the company. Even the people that didn't get furloughed obviously felt extremely bad for their friends because everybody's very close. So how do you then take that group and motivate them to now do extremely hard work and basically to keep pushing forward and to completely reinvent our business? I think that was definitely the hardest moment to stay positive, kind of follow your lead and think about what could we do that would still motivate everybody and, set them on a path where we can succeed as a company, because putting the head in the sand doesn't help anyone. That's not going to bring our people back ultimately.
Lately, it's been tough for sure. We're taking bullets. What, I said to somebody today, I feel like I'm taking bullets in every direction. I started running forward. There's bullets flying that way. And he said, there's a great story about a Marine. A Marine and his unit got completely surrounded and bullets were flying in at the team. And he turned to his team and he said, I'm getting chills. I heard this today. And he said, well, really good news, guys. Now they're not getting away from us. We know exactly where everybody is. and so I guess we're in that situation. Your family, who's obviously like my family, your young kids, what do they think of this whole Spartan thing? They see mom going to work every day, talking to Joe, talking to the team. You've got all these people from around the world 24/7. Are they happy with Spartan? Are they happy with me?
Yeah, they love it. They think everybody should Spartan up. They tell me to Spartan up every day. We're building Spartan courses outside, and all kids are really concerned about what can they do to help Spartan thrive. So I've been telling them more about our approach to really support the community. I've been telling them that, everybody's in the same boat. There's really nobody in no country in the world right now. I mean, 2 countries are obviously not as bad as particularly New York, where I'm based. But I think, we're seeing that focus on the community, be it your family, your work, or your broader community, is what everybody has to do right now. And I think, you remember obviously the day when we're saying, let's just try to move the New York office remote for a while to see how that works in case it actually happens. I think that was the last time we were all in the office together, at least in New York. And then that became reality. And I think, we had sort of the weekend when you were in Greece and the bullets were flying and everybody was telling you probably might not even get back into the country. But you were still there with Gerald Butler thinking, it's all good. We were sort of saying, like, we might shut the country off. It's not good. And I think at that moment, like, everybody just focused on like whoever's their closest, right? Their family, themselves. And I think what you did, which was great, your intuitive kind of next step was, let's focus on our community. How do we take care of our community? Even though there's really tough times, we obviously had to, furlough a lot of people. And those are all great people, right? And they're all stepping in, making social videos for us right now, and are still part of the community. You're doing that daily call, with our entire company, everybody furlough and not furloughs on that call. And I think that's what ultimately, in my mind, it's the same playbook. We're doing the same thing, different circumstances, but it's still the same process that we have, where we're thinking about talking to the community about races. Well, right now there's no races, but we're talking to them about how can they overcome this adversity, right? The race was maybe, you used to say, like, I sprinkle a little bit of adversity into people's lives. Like, now there's real adversity, right? How do we help the community become healthy? And I think for me, it just, like, going back to your question about kids, it really starts with like kids and family. And I actually think it would be harder to work for a company that's, selling luxury goods right now.
Let's give the audience just a 50,000 foot view of what's going on, because you and I are living it every day. If we backed up 6-8 weeks ago, we're in 45 countries. With the Tough Mudder acquisition, we've got 325 events, and that's really our main business. And then we've obviously got some merchandise sales, some content sales, some nutrition sales, obviously sponsors. But the bulk of our business is 325 events that take place across 45 countries. And a lot of people don't know this, but it must have been early February, I think. And you said to me, hey, listen, because you're in New York with your team, you're a little closer to the ground, the financial markets. And you're like, yeah, it looks like this coronavirus thing is pretty serious. It looks like it's going to shut things down. And I was like, Carola, oh my God, you're so like, what was the word I was using? Dramatic. It's not going to be that big a deal.
Yeah.
We have a little problem in China, which was really no big deal, because now we still have 44 countries, and a little problem in Japan, 43 countries, maybe Italy, but it's not that big a deal. And sure enough, you were right. And, when I think back, cause you were sounding the alarm, you were banging bells, and I just kept ignoring you. I think, what would we have done differently in those 3 weeks? Had I believed the tsunami was coming that you were talking about, what could we have done in those 3 weeks? I guess we could have got a little more organized around content, a little more organized around merchandise. But ultimately, you and the team pulled it off pretty quickly, right?
Yeah,
What would
thank
we
you.
have done differently?
I think we would have told Michael Lunardeli to buy every last equipment piece that there is, because that's what people are coming to us right now. It's obviously training. Like, how do I train? I think our live streams are through the roofs. People wake up with you, they train with our DecaFit athletes. They want to see what we're doing. Kids training is doing extremely well, 3 o'clock every day. But, everybody's also looking not just for merchandise to wear while they work out, train at home, but they want to have the equipment, like, the dumbbell, the kettlebell, like all of those things. So had we had a crystal ball, or I guess the boldness at the time, because you would have made a huge bet, right? Going really long on that equipment could have been also, then you get stuck with it and nobody wants to buy it because it wouldn't have been branded Spartan. But yeah, I think in hindsight, we acted quickly. And I think, again, I read this report yesterday by this friend of mine, Pranav, who put it together. And he said the number one thing after you satisfy your sustenance is community. And I think that's, I said to him, well, I think that's always been the Spartan playbook, because the brand only is the brand because of the community, right? We're not a luxury brand that you put on your handbag or something and feel proud. It's a badge brand that really makes you feel like you are Spartan because of the community and because of your mindset. So I think, we did the right thing. We focused on the community, and now we just have to keep doing that, because when races are back, people will still want to get content from us. Like, oh, you'll never go back to sleep. You're always going to be live now. This is your life.
Yeah, for those people listening or watching, what Carola is referring to there is, and then I'll go backwards and ask some questions, but I'm literally starting at 4:45 in the morning, turning the cameras on, doing a workout, start with the warrior call, and then don't stop until tonight doesn't end until 7 p.m. So it's just constant filming. And I always thought, like, actors and actresses, not to put myself in that class because I'm not that good, had it pretty easy with their little trailers outside and their place to sit down. And fuck, I could use a trailer and a makeup artist and a masseuse and a barber. But I guess if you had to grade me or us as a company, and anything go, you can answer any way you want. Doesn't really matter at this point, right? We're fighting through it. I could grade you and the marketing team. You guys pivoted pretty damn fast, and you did a great job. But you even did it with like less resources, because we had to furlough 75% of the staff. So my grade for you would be good, but that doesn't mean you have to give me a good grade. Like, how have we done as a company if you had to grade us?
Yeah, so I was just talking to one of our partners that works with a very big different company that does online education also, and he was telling me that their corona response course is bound to come out in July or June, actually. And I was sort of laughing a little bit, because I feel like we've done a lot of it, and I think we're hearing from our partners that we are very much at the forefront, to the point where we saw the social media rankings really spike. We had 670% increase at some point. Now obviously it's becoming a more crowded place. So I'm actually less saying let's look back and see how have we done. I think you've done amazing, because without you, Joe, I remember I had this little Zoom idea, and then I kept asking everybody and saying, like, come on, get on Zoom. And we couldn't really figure it out. Like, John was struggling to get the slots filled, and then you basically took it, and now you have the 5:30 warrior call that is featured by Entrepreneur. It's an amazing call with amazing people. It's so insightful. I make myself wake up early. I was on it today, and I really loved it. And I really think that's a great call. Anybody, I was texting 2 people. They're like, what is this call? They jumped on, they loved it. They want to speak on it. It's just a great, and without you, we wouldn't be able to do that, not to flatter you, but I think it always needs that person that either challenges the team. And I think you are good to set the bar high, and then I guess, rewards them and helps them kind of think through the next step, like what's next. And you're constantly iterating, you constantly have new ideas. That keeps everybody on their toes. And I just think that sadly, the whole thing is a marathon right now, right? Or even longer, it's an ultra. Like it's never going to stop unless, we will look back at this and say, when we have our, I don't know, hundreds of events open across the globe, that's easy, right? Because then we have the playbook. We know that, Mike Morris is going to set up the picture perfect race course and everything is going to be on time. And I know exactly how to promote it and like how to drive people to the site. Like right now, every day it changes, right? The rules change, the government changes. So I think we'll have to constantly see what the new normal looks like every day and just, be Spartan about it and really try to find like what is the best thing for our community right now, right? Because we fail often, we fail fast, and then we move on. And trying different things all the time. That's kind of what I feel like I've learned from you. I probably used to be more into like working things out until they're perfectly. And now we go to market. And frankly, if our customers say, something was wrong or they comment on a post, then we'll call them. And I think you do that every day, right? You email over 100 people back, you apologize. You make a statement like that was just wrong wording choice. And we get a funny post, the marketing team must be sleeping. Yeah, they haven't been sleeping and maybe they used the wrong word. Sorry, right? That's all we can say. And I think that's ultimately the best approach. And that's where like the human side of Spartan comes out. And I think we always have to keep that, right?
So you made my head swell a little bit, but I feel like I failed in two areas. One is I've definitely failed in some customers because I'm dealing with a few that are like, we want a refund. We don't care about 2 races in the future. And so, but it's very hard to explain to people that we don't get paid registration money and then have that money the day the race goes on. We spend all that money or 90% of it leading up, and I just don't know how to, that's one area where I feel like I failed. And then the other area is we had to furlough 75% of the people. That's another failure, right? There's always these amazing stories of this company never let anybody go, and tough times. So 2 areas I would give myself a negative score, but I just don't have an answer that's a good answer in those 2 areas.
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer there is that we have to make it good, when times are good again. And we'll have to, be there to support people, be the community that people want. I don't have a good answer for it either because, I think the entire world is in the same boat. There's very few companies that have the luxury of not doing that.
So just one more thing I want to say that I didn't even tell you this, I don't think. A couple of nights ago, I got an email from one of our customers. He's done 8 races. And this is by far, I mean, we get a lot of emails, as you know, of people that were going to commit suicide, but then they remembered they had a race on the calendar and they decided not to kill themselves. I mean, just unbelievable, tear-jerking, very powerful stories. But this story for me, he had seen my video that I made in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Where it was 4:30 in the morning. I was clearly a little broken. People aren't used to seeing me that way. And he was worried. He'd done like 7 or 8 of our races. I think he was worried that, oh my God, is Joe giving up? And he said, look, I sold my company 4 years ago. I don't have a ton of money. I probably have, $1.5 million, $2 million to my name, which I could live very comfortably. I'd like to invest it all in Spartan if you need it. I mean,
that's amazing.
It's an unbelievable story. It's like unbelievable. So anyway, we could sit here for hours and go through the stories.
Yeah.
But I think it's the mission. I think it's very powerful. And like you said, if we were selling some consumer good, a handbag or whatever, you wouldn't get that. So anyway, I got to tune out. Thanks for doing this. I'm glad your family doesn't want to hunt me down and kill me. And and I wish I would have listened and bought every kettlebell on the planet in mid-February. I'll see you later.
As always, fantastic to hear from Joe and really great to introduce so many of you to Carola. She's an amazing person. So we're going to come back with Colonel Nye's interview with Mike Lunardeli.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wine for Runners, the makers of the new official Spartan brand wine. Wine for Runners curates commemorative wines to celebrate your finish. They are the official Spartan labeled wine. They'll customize your wine with your athlete's name, the race event, and the date. Wine for Runners could be the perfect way to commemorate your accomplishments, or maybe a gift for someone with untiring grit to celebrate their relentless resilience. Wine for Runners is for runners, triathletes, cyclists, anyone who loves challenge. Not only that, some studies have shown that moderate red wine consumption may even lower the risk of some diseases, like heart disease. To find out more about Spartan's official wine, go to wineforrunners.com/Spartan. Again, that's wine, the number 4, runners.com/Spartan.
So today, it's going to be my privilege to interview the Vice President of Merchandising, Mike Lunardeli. So we're gonna interview you and just kind of most of the way these go. If you haven't seen one, I hope you have. Is just find out a little bit about you. What are you doing at Spartan, and what are the challenges that Spartan is facing, and what are the challenges you and your position are facing, and how we Spartan you are kind of overcoming those challenges / obstacles.
I love it. Let's go.
All right. I am curious how you saw when you came into the business. This is pre-COVID, if you will. What was going to be your biggest challenge, and then transition to post-COVID or during the COVID-19, how that has transformed or challenged you, the business, and how you're handling that.
Yeah. So, when I came into Spartan, remember, I'm running merchandise for Spartan. So we have a merchandise business that started long before I got there. Predominantly, we sold merchandise at races. When people went to one of our Spartan races, we had these metal pods. We had, 3 salespeople sitting behind the desk there with some products behind them, and people would line up and wait in the rain or the heat or the cold and try to buy a venue T-shirt or, a sweatshirt, a hat, something like that. But it was a good business. We have very passionate fans. And there's, Spartans, man, they drink the Kool-Aid. They are all in. And I that's why I came. I loved it. One of the things I saw with Spartan before I came was that, one, there was this unbelievable potential with the brand. Number 1, the name Spartan. Number 2, the logo Spartan. Number 3, who the Spartans really were in ancient history. And then what Joe had created with modern Spartans today. So, but wow, he's got this huge consumer base sitting there that are actively engaged in the brand because they go and do these events. And these races are hard. They really get people to find the better version of themselves from a health standpoint, because you got to work out most of the time for these events. So I saw all this potential. What I really saw, though, was not so much a brand that would be selling people gear for just the races, but a brand that would stand alone as a lifestyle brand that could do more for people, meaning workout gear, training equipment, nutrition, really get after what people do 24/7, not just when they go to a race at a fixed point in time, once, twice, 3 times a year, but really more than that. To be, again, another sport that's very similar to, or there's a lot of crossover, I should say, is CrossFit, right? These CrossFitters, they live, eat, drink CrossFit. That's what they do. Now, we have a lot of Spartan racers who do CrossFit and vice versa. So that's there too. But the point is, CrossFitters, from the world I came from, a Reebok, what they wear to work a lot of times is CrossFit gear. They have equipment at their house. They have home gyms. They go to a certain box. Everything they do, their friends, their social contacts, what they do on social media is built around doing that particular, work.
It's cultish. Just go ahead and say it.
It is. And I wouldn't say, Spartan has an element of that too.
Right? Absolutely.
But in a good way. And so I saw that and I was like, wow, what a cool brand. Imagine if we could take Spartan and make it something that people think of the same way you think of some of the big brands out there, the Lululemons, the Under Armours, the Nikes even, right? Why can't Spartan be that for people who are trying to work out and get healthy and find the most fit version of themselves, or the healthiest version of themselves? Were there challenges coming in? Oh, absolutely. There was 3 people working on the business when I walked in. It was a fairly small business, right? We didn't really have global operations, and we have hundreds of global events and really not selling any great product to most of those people. And there were so many things to kind of get at. It was hard to even know where to start when I came in. So the first thing we had to do is build a team, because you're nothing without a good team, right? So that was the first thing I focused on. Let's get some people in here that are experts at what they do. and then let's attack this thing. Let's create a strategy and figure out how do we bring Spartans great gear to do races, great gear to work out in, nutrition, things that are going to keep them more healthy. Like, how do we get after that? And it doesn't happen overnight. You can't snap your fingers and all of a sudden in 2 months you have it all. It takes a couple of years to get that stuff in place. I started 2 years ago in March. So I've been here 2 years, and a lot of the things that we've worked on are just coming to fruition now, and more will come. And I think that the team, I got to give it all to my team, has done an incredible job. Has it been without hardships? No.
So I would agree with you there. I just want to ask one more question. I'm going to ask about where we are now. And that is, within that merchandise, what is our best seller? And is it a global? I mean, is it, so if it's shoes, they probably make the most money because they're the most expensive. But what's the best seller? And is that hold true across the globe, if you will?
But yeah, let's just take the shoe, for example. It's one of our best sellers. It is definitely a global seller. Anytime we've taken that Artie Pro shoe to any event, whether it's in Taiwan, Western Europe, Middle East, the shoes have sold really well. And our partners are seeing that, and our partners are asking for the shoes, and we're starting to sell a lot of them to people all around. I think the hardest thing for Spartans overseas is they can't get access to our product as easily as a U.S. customer can. And so we're trying to break down those walls for them and become a global brand for them as well.
You have a big job at Spartan. There's no doubt about it. And quite frankly, I imagine there's a lot of people who are pretty envious of it because it sounds like a great job to me. But Spartan, from my perspective, and I think you would agree, is a race-based company, of which then the merchandising is a supporting effort. But now that we've come into the shutdown, I would think that is maybe flipped. If we're not doing the races, I would think that the merchandising then it rises to the top as a way of revenue producing for the company. So now you are, I'm struggling. Are you not now probably one of the, or your organization, your department rises in priority within the company?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, look, this has been a challenging time, right? There's people out of work. There's people sick, not just here, but around the world. People are facing real challenges. My wife is a acting CEO of a nonprofit called Euphrates, and they go into other countries like Africa, and they help out certain groups of people who are struggling. What we're hearing from those people are they're struggling just to get food because they're locked in. They don't have refrigerators like we have here. It's hard for them even just to get food. If they have 10 kids in the house, a small house, how do they get food? So, look, our struggles are nothing compared to those. So I don't want to try to compare any struggles that we have as a merchandise group to anything anybody else is dealing with. But yeah, the last few weeks have been hard. We've had to pivot really fast. We've definitely faced challenges. We're working long days, but we're happy to do it. Like, it doesn't feel like a job to me. I've got a great team. We're doing things that help people. So I get up every day and I'm pretty excited, to be honest with you, to get to my computer. We're all working from home, but we've pivoted from a place where we're very much a race company, and we still are. That's always going to be the foundation of the company. But now we're pivoting to a place where, what are people looking for right now? They're stuck at home. Their CrossFit gym's closed. Their Ghost gym is closed. Their yoga studio's done. Orange Theory doesn't have classes. The local university isn't letting anybody into their gym. You don't have anywhere to go to work out. So people are trying to create their own home gym. So what are they looking for? They are looking for, more than anything else, equipment to work out at home. And, just going back to around early March, some of it was luck, to be honest with you, but I was kind of thinking about myself and geez, if I'm going to be locked in my house, I got to keep moving here. I went up to work and I grabbed some of the samples I had there, my Power Systems dead balls and my the battle rope. I grabbed a climbing rope. I grabbed a plyo box so I could do box jumps. Grabbed a few things, threw them in the back of my car with all the other things I had to get from work, and set up a little circuit at home. And I've been working out at home. And that kind of kicked in the first couple of days of, geez, aren't a lot of other people doing this? Because I'm not even a big CrossFitter. I used to be, but I don't even do that much anymore. I'm like, if I'm doing this, how many people are looking for these things? So we started to say, maybe we shift to a Spartan training message right now. And obviously we're not selling a lot of things for races at the moment, but people are still trying to move. They're still trying to train for races. They're just still trying to stay in shape. And so we pivoted on March 18th to a message around, hey, keep moving, stay in shape. We've got things to help you do that. Here's our Spartan equipment. And what we saw is within a week or so, just a real spike in sales. People coming in looking for nothing but equipment items to build out their home gyms. And so that pivot was really interesting. Took us a lot of effort to get there, but it was something we wanted to do anyway. And so it's been like a real eye-opener for us that, Spartans are more than just people doing races. That's always going to be a big part of us. But Spartans are more than just that. They're everyday people that are looking to, again, find the best version of themselves, stay in shape, keep moving. Joe likes to say, rip 1 million people off the couch, 100 million people off the couch. Sure, that's great. But if we could even change one person's life because they're working out more, then that's great. So if we can sell them some things or help them get some products that help them do that, get them excited about it, motivate them, awesome. And so that's what's been happening the last 4 or 5 weeks. We're selling lots of training gear, shoes, but mostly equipment. More recently, we've transitioned over to masks and things to help people, as they go out into their community so that we can kind of help prevent the spread of this thing.
Do we have a Spartan mask? Do we have a logo on it?
We do. We got a logo on it. We just put them up like 3 days ago. The things are on fire. Like, we're going to be sold out of these in the next 3 days for sure, which is okay, which is good. We're ordering more. We'll have more coming in. We'll keep pre-selling them. But yeah, people are all over it. People are excited. If they're going to have a mask, might as well have a Spartan on it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wear my mask every day. Maybe I'll switch over to a Spartan mask. So let me, listen, you're obviously a very optimistic guy, and you're also just, my background in the military, I can spot leadership traits. So you use the words team and we and all of those things appropriately. So you're talking about your team, and you don't want to make your team, the challenges you're facing, seem any worse than anybody else's. And I'm sure they're not, but they're there. Are you at full strength, or are you guys working overtime? And if you are, how do you maintain that energy and that excitement? Is that part of being Spartan, if you will, and Joe DeSena's culture?
Yeah, no, these are good questions. The first thing I'll just start with is we've, as a company, we had to furlough a lot of our people because we don't have any races. There's no income coming in from races. That's what the company's founded on, right? You have an event, people pay to go to the event, they do this great Spartan race, they're buying merchandise, buying food and beverage, all that. It's not there right now. And that's the same thing for our licensees and partners overseas running events over there. There's no races going on. So a huge piece of the income from the company just went away, a huge piece, the majority of it. And so all we have is a small percentage of what we're selling in merchandise online. It can't make that up. Joe had to make some tough decisions of furloughing, people that are friends, their family, and for me, that's been the toughest thing. I'm not going to lie. First few days, it kind of kept me up at night, and it was a brutal thing to have to tell a few of our really hard, dedicated people that, we're going to have to, lay them off for a few weeks until this thing comes out. So that's been the toughest thing for me, hands down. To know that I've got 4 people on my team that are out there collecting unemployment, right? That don't have a steady income coming in right now. They get benefits from us, which is great. And we care about them. We're still staying in touch with them. We love them and we want them back. But that's been the hardest thing for me. So there's been that. Then there's been just the amount of hours because we've been doing all these pivots where I'll tell you, I've had I pulled 2 or 3 all-nighters. I haven't done this since like college, and probably working 16 hours a day, maybe more. And some of my team members are doing the same. And so, we're giving it our all. We want to do our best for the company because right now, the only revenue flowing in right now is for the most part coming from merchandise sales online on our website. But it's been good. People, Spartans are really resilient, man. People are coming out of the woodwork wanting to support the company. And that's why I'm at Spartan in the first place, because of that community. The community of Spartan is unbelievable. It transcends our company, if you will. It's more than a company. It's a community of people and of like-minded people, and it's a pretty awesome thing. So as hard as it's maybe been for us, again, I look at the bright side of things, and that we're doing what we love, and we're doing some good things for people, hopefully, and we're helping the company, and we're going to get our fallen comrades back sooner than later, as soon as we get back to business. So that's what we're trying to get at. The more stuff we can sell, the faster we're going to get them back. And the quicker we get those races going again, we'll have our team back. So that's what we're trying to get at. But yeah, we've had some struggles over the past 4 or 5 weeks. But as far as merchandise is concerned, yeah, right now we're at the top of the heap as far as, company focus, because this is the light that's on. And we are on fire. We literally have holiday sales right now. Like, we're talking Christmas sales on our website. And April is one of our slower months traditionally, but not right now. We've got a free race deal if you spend a certain amount. So people are coming in knowing that they can get a free race pass all the way out through 2021 if they spend $100 in Spartan merch. And we have discounts on the merch too. So yeah, sales have been great. We want to give people good deals because we know a lot of people are down and out too. They're out of work, or they're not making as much, or they're worried about the future. So they don't want to spend a ton of money on merchandise. So we're giving them great discounts and we're giving them free race deals, and people are really responding and coming in for us. So it's been really good.
Yeah, that is a great message of kind of optimism and hope. So, and what you're talking about, the Spartan community, I don't know. I've been on, Joe starts, he's got a 0530 Zoom that starts the day. I've been on a number of them, not every one of them, but a number of them. I don't know if you have, but I'm surprised, there's guys in Singapore, in China, in Brazil, in the UK, they're all over. And he runs just like, on my screen anyway, from like left to right, just everybody has to report in on what's going on in their sector. If he's running not only the company, he wants to know what's going on in the world. He's trying to do his own news hour, if you will. It's fascinating to watch him take on an added responsibility, because it really isn't about his company, it's about what's going on. But he wants to know, and he's up at 5:30. Now, I've told him repeatedly, my biorhythms, I'm in bed at like 1:32 in the morning. So those 5:30 calls, especially at my age, come a little bit, they're a little bit rough sometimes. So I've missed more than a few. So anyway, listen, just as a wrap up, I think, unless Marion, who's off camera here, nods or something, I appreciate your time today. I know just based on what you said, extraordinarily busy and extraordinarily important what you're doing. I think Spartan overall, has got a great message. It always has, of resiliency and grit for the nation. But I think this is at this time and place right now where we are as a nation, it's even a better message. It resonates even more. And you're one of the forces behind that. So more power to you. And hopefully I'll get up to Boston or see you out at some race or wherever in the future, and we can sit down and talk UFC or whatever. So it was great talking to you today.
So there's so much to unpack there, but one of the main things I really get from both of them is that when you have a mission like Spartan has, rip 100 million people off the couch, something like this doesn't change the mission. It changes how a company goes about it. But if you have that guiding North Star, you have that thing that you're trying to achieve, now we got to figure out a different way to achieve that. And I thought that was really powerful, that they're both looking at ways to change the way they're doing things, but they're not changing what they're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And what Joe keeps saying through all this is the standards don't change, right? He's still eating healthy. He's still getting up early in the morning. You can join him for his 5:30 a.m. calls, for his 6 a.m. workouts. I think Spartans are born and bred globally. Like, we should be the backbone of inspiration for our community, saying that any obstacle that we face, we can figure out a way to overcome it, and we can still work out and still be there for our friends and family and community. And I think seeing how Spartan's pivoting and seeing the great leadership that's behind it is really empowering for this global nation of Sparta that we all get to be a part of.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sefra. For me, who obviously got a chance to talk to Lunardeli and then listen to the other one, is the positivity and also mixed with the seriousness. So they understand the mission and they understand how important it is, but they're not being dragged down by circumstances, right? It is hard to let people go, especially people who've done nothing wrong. It's not like you're going out and firing somebody because they've done something wrong at the company. This is letting people go. And Spartan's as global as it is, the company is more family oriented, more family-like, if you will, more of a tribe, right? So it's very close knit. And you're talking to people, hey, I got to let you go. And everybody understands that, but that doesn't make it easy. But at the same time, they're talking about, okay, what's on the horizon? What do we got to get done? And they're putting forth the effort to get it done, even though there's less people, same amount of time, but they're working double shifts and everything else. I mean, he was just talking about we've shifted to making masks and already sold out of them in the first batch, and we got to find other people to make them for us and everything else. It's really interesting transition. So there's flexibility in there as well. So really great stuff from both of them.
I think it's just, adversity really breeds creativity. You read about these great times of Renaissance, Shakespeare writing plays during the plagues and things like that. You have to look back and say, right now we're facing hard times. People are shifting, they're learning new skills. They're hopefully, finding some time to follow passions and get retrained for this new paradigm. But I think also, seeing what creativity and entrepreneurship and what solution-based platforms can come out of this. My brother works a lot with FEMA, and they say, we're really open when people present us with a solution, right? And so I think this solutions mindset will really help facilitate and drive us all.
Within the Spartan company culture, that's really evident right now. And there are a lot of people who've been around from the start who just lean in and do whatever needs to get done and worry later on about how you're going to get paid for it, things like that, or if you're going to get paid for it. And there are a lot of people right now who are leaning in and doing things off the clock. They're doing things because they believe in the company, they believe in the mission, they believe in the people that we've been serving. And so I think a lot of that trickles down from the transparency with which Joe is approaching things. If you don't know where your CEO is coming from, if you think he's off on his yacht somewhere, it's very different than when he's the guy on the 5:30 call. There's a 1 o'clock company call that they do where, even the people who are furloughed are on that call so that they know what is the company doing to keep their jobs so that when things are ready to go back online, back offline actually, but you know what I mean, in real time, there's something to come back to. And I think it's Joe's willingness to dig in and have these conversations and really be totally transparent with the staff and the company is making a huge difference. Obviously we've already bought into how phenomenal this company and how phenomenal this community is, but it's really great to see it in real time and how important it is.
One of the things that Carola talked about was the strength of the community. And as a podcast as well, our group, we reached back to past podcast guests, and it's amazing how many of them raised their hands and said, yes, please, we want to help the community. And so we've been doing daily Zoom calls with this group, especially Johnny, but all of us have been, chiming in a little bit. And every day at 2:00, as long as things are the way they are, we're going to be there talking to different past podcast guests.
2:00 Vermont time.
2:00 Eastern Standard Time,
Yeah.
As a way to just deepen the community. And it's kind of cool because instead of just listening, you get to go and ask questions.
Yeah, it's been really awesome to see people who might have listened to the Mark Divine interview now actually able to speak with them in real time, and Brian Johnson and just so many amazing people that we've had. We've got Amelia Boone coming up. And the idea that they can actually engage directly with them is really, really cool.
And by the way, we're publishing a lot of those as podcast episodes. So if you can't make it to the call, you'll be able to listen later.
I love the whole unbreakable concept, right? I mean, we've all of us together, these are the conversations that we've had, and talking isn't just to talk. You gotta really put it to practice when these times really come up. And so it's been inspiring to see, Joe, especially, and Carola and Mike, they really live and breathe these ethos that we celebrate. And you can see with a smile on their face through great adversity, we're all going to get through this together. And as a community, as a podcast, we'd love to see what your Spartan community is doing, what your family is doing, what you guys are up to, what solutions, what you've done for your communities. Please reach out to us because we'd love to help celebrate that and make it part of our conversation.
So remember, guys, you can get a hold of us through Instagram, through Twitter, directly on our YouTube page where you're watching this. Share it. Come back. We love you guys. Thanks so much.
Rue.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wine for Runners, the makers of the new official Spartan brand wine. Visit wineforrunners.com/Spartan. That's wine, the number 4, runners.com/Spartan.